So I have the comment all the time on my videos, or people ask all the time, how you fly so smooth, or you fly really smooth. Now, I don't think I fly that smooth, but I can see kind of where they're coming from. So I thought today I would just do a little flight around and kind of talk while I'm flying about some things to think about and to try to do when you're flying if you want to have smooth flying. Okay, so the first thing I want to say as I'm starting this off is flying smooth does not mean you can't do quick maneuvers. You can do quick maneuvers by all means and still fly smooth. The key with flying smooth isn't about how fast you're doing things, with the drone. It's more about how you respond, and that's really the key. The big part of it is you got to be committed to your line and not just like jerk react with things. See, like I saw that scraggle there and reacted just slightly close, and then I about hit that stop sign back there, but I didn't let that phase me as I was going by. You gotta basically be committed to your line, because if you're not committed to your line, then it will definitely come across as not being smooth. Now, in the past, I've used like Real Steady and Gyroflow and that kind of software, to smooth things out. And that software is great, and it's definitely something that you can utilize to improve like small movements that you're doing, but it can only do so much. And then the worse that your movements are, the harder it is for it to fix it. If you're making too quick of adjustments and too quicker changes, that sort of thing, then it cannot correct that well. It'll correct it, but what you'll end up doing is you'll end up zooming, and you don't want to do that. See, I almost hit that railing there, and I adjusted to it, but I didn't like over adjust. That's the key. Is like you got to adjust enough to correct the problem, but don't over adjust. And then just commit to your line and be good with it. That's really that's the big part of this key to it, is just committing to your line. I'm gonna land the battery about sorry. I don't know why I go bad. See those adjustments there with as I'm turning, trying to make minor adjustments and not overdo things with my throttle. So you gotta be really, really controlled with your throttle. That's a big part of it. And you gotta be committed to your line. And then as hard as it is, don't overreact. And that comes back to being committed to your line. You just that's really the biggest key. I made a video sometime back, it's probably been years back, and it was something I noticed with the dribs flying way back in the day. He would commit to the line, whatever he was doing, and just commit or crash, one of those two things, right? You have to just commit to it and hope you don't crash. And what you'll find a lot of times is you won't crash. You actually got more space than you realize you do. That's something that's taken me a while, because in the goggles things look closer sometimes than they are. Sometimes they look tighter than they actually are. That's just the nature of the wide angle stuff, I think. So yeah, you got to commit to your lines. So I'm gonna fly one more, and we'll talk just a little bit more about a couple other things. Okay, so a couple other things to talk about on this. So I've talked about being very deliberate and being very committed with your line. But a couple other things to think about is how you're turning and how you are adjusting to handle those turns, so that you can kind of keep your momentum going. So part of what I do when I'm turning, and I don't have my stick cam unfortunately, but I'm gonna try to describe this. So when I'm turning, like these couple turns here, what you'll find when you're flying is you'll end up like you'll gain altitude if you're not careful, or you'll drop altitude if you're not careful. And the big key with turning is you're constantly moving that throttle up and down, but just ever so slightly, just to maintain the altitude that you got. You know, as I'm turning, I'm doing up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, like a lot. I overreacted on that one there. I thought I was going to crash into that bush. I didn't want to. That's one of the things you want to avoid. But as I'm turning here, making these turns, particularly like kiter turns, you do a lot of throttle up and down to make those turns and maintain, oops, crashed. Maintain your altitude. That's a big part of it. And you can see I committed on that turn there, and it bit me that time. But that's what you gotta do. Like you gotta be committed on your line. And then when you're making these turns, like you're constantly adjusting throttle. And then even to go, oh, that battery got shot. Oh man, these poor batteries. The cold's not liking them. I need to go get that one there. I don't want to destroy the battery. Let me go grab it and I'll be right back. Actually, I'll take you with me. We'll talk and chat here. So yeah, you've got to be committed to your line, and then when you're making turns, you're constant. I'm going to show you a little bit here what I'm kind of doing. Even though I'm not flying, I'll get back over to the car. I'll show you a little bit of what I mean about adjusting the throttle as you're making turns to maintain your altitude, because you don't want your altitude to get smooth flying. You don't want your altitude changing drastically. You want it to be very subtle. Even when you've got to make a big altitude change, like if you're climbing up something, or if you are coming up with something, you kind of want to crest it. And then when you go over it, you kind of want to be able to stick with the elevation. So say, for instance, you've got an obstacle or something that you want to kind of go over, but you want to maintain staying close to it. It's on the ground, you're on the ground, and you're coming along, you kind of want to go up over it and then back down. That's where constantly adjusting your throttle is going to play a big part in it, because you don't want to over adjust. You come up over it and then you're way up too high for too long. If you want to stay close, you've got to be constantly up and down that throttle, so that when you're come up over it, you're going to be dropping the throttle so you can come right back down. I'm going to see if I can show you what I mean on the sticks here. I'll see if I can get this. So yeah, that's it right there. So when I'm on the throttle, I use pinching. If you're doing thumb, it's no different. But I'm constantly doing this. See, I'm going up and down, up and down, up and down. I'm constantly doing that, little adjustments, all the time when I'm flying. It's constant. Rarely am I ever staying here, because you're constantly, your quad's not going to stay at the same altitude, basically. So you're constantly doing this. I rarely ever do this. I mean, even if I'm doing big punch outs, I'm probably up in this range here. I'm probably never like this. It's really rare if I would ever be like this. So you're constantly doing this. And then with your, in turning, I'm constantly doing these back and forth here, up and down, because I'm doing very minor, because you want to make just minor tweaks, because you don't want your quad doing this. You want those changes to be subtle. Subtle is okay, because with these odd angles, they're not going to notice that so much. But if you're doing this, they're going to notice it, and it's very distracting. All right, I'm going to fly one more. Your battery about shot. I've killed them. I got to get some new batteries, I think. But yeah, we'll fly one more and just finish this thing out here and kind of give you a couple other tips and tricks on flying smooth. Woo, it's cold here in Florida this morning, but it's way warmer than it has been. I'll take it. Needs to be warmer though. It's supposed to be in the 70s today. Okay, so we've talked about committing to your line, constantly being on the throttle, adjusting it, not overreacting to maneuvers. And then the last thing is flying smooth, I think. Low battery. is staying as close to objects as you can. It looks way better visually and everything if you are like just skimming over objects. It will definitely make everything look smoother when you're doing that. You gotta watch where I'm flying there. I don't get too far out. Get a little sketchy on the, so like the ground, I'm kind of high here. I really want to be lower. Yeah, right in there in that range. Like you want to skim everything. Commit to your line like that. Make sure you know you're going where you're wanting to go. Stay as close to the ground as you can. Don't overreact as you're coming up on stuff. Constantly be on the throttle to adjust it. Don't like react too quickly. There we go. Those are minor tweaks there, pretty good. You know, constantly on the throttle when you're turning. Try to stay close to the ground and the objects that you're flying around as you possibly can. Don't make a lot of pitch adjustments as you're doing things. You're just constantly wanting to skim things and ride the surface as well as you can. And the more you do this, the faster you can fly through things and be committed to things. See that? Just zooming so that you can just creep through things and not worry about where you're going to be committed to those lines. Maintain your line. You know, just constantly adjusting that throttle. Not worrying about hitting stuff. You're gonna commit to it, right? And just know that you're gonna make it. If you don't, it's gonna be all right. Because if you do make it, it looks way better. All right, let's finish that out. Close this thing up. And hopefully Bard will screaming, low battery, low battery, low battery. Wasn't too distracting in this video. Jeez. I've got him as my warning. Mostly because sometimes his videos annoy me. I don't know why. He's a good guy. He does a lot of good stuff. But for some reason, he kind of annoys me sometimes. I don't know why it is. I don't know. Maybe we're kind of alike in some respects, and that kind of annoys me. I don't know. Probably not. But anyways, hope it wasn't too distracting. And I've got my warning set probably a little more aggressive than I should, mostly because I kill batteries really bad, and I've got to be reminded constantly. Don't forget to look at your battery voltage so you don't kill your battery, dummy. And as you can tell, my batteries, they're about shot. I'm not getting great flight time out of these things. They're about shot anyways because I was doing that for so long. I'm doing much better since putting him on here and being aggressive with the voltage warnings. I don't kill them nearly as often as I do, unless I'm like talking like I am now. I get distracted. So anyways, let's wrap this up. Okay, so a couple key points. 1, commit to your line. 2, constantly adjust your throttle. Don't be holding your throttle there, and when you make your throttle adjustments, don't overdo it. Minor tweaks, constantly minor tweaking your throttle. Same thing with your pitch and your roll and your yaw. You constantly, everything needs to be minor adjustments when you're flying along a particular line you're cruising through. Now, if you're doing tricks and stuff, yeah, that kind of goes out the window, and you've got to just work on being precise on the stop points. If you're doing like really more robotic type tricks, but ideally on those type of things, you want to, as you're doing it, you want to kind of, as you come off of it, do that little bit of up and down, left and right, you know, just minor tweaks as you're coming off of it to ease off of it. It looks way better on the smoothness factor. So commit to your line. Minor adjustments, but constant adjustments on throttle, pitch, yaw, roll, all that stuff. The other thing is stay tight to the ground, tight to the objects you're flying around. That's where coming in, doing the minor tweaks on the throttle and everything else constantly matters. You don't want your quad doing this, you know, and you don't want your quad doing this or this a lot. You want those adjustments to be more like this and more like this and this. Those minor movements over a longer period will look way better in the camera for the person watching. They're not going to notice all those. And then if you do have to do some real steady or something because of just whatever you're wanting to do, those minor adjustments give real steady a whole lot more video real estate to keep in frame, and it looks way better. It doesn't have to zoom in and out and all that kind of stuff, you know, gyro flow, real steady, whichever one you're using. So that's the key. You know, the key with flying smooth is just constantly adjusting. I mean, that's probably the biggest one, is constantly adjusting, mainly your throttle, but all the other elements, you know, yaw, pitch, roll, but constantly adjusting those things to maintain your orientation, maintain your altitude, maintain your quad's attitude and how it's flying. That's the key. So hopefully this helped a little bit. I wish I would have had a stick cam, but I forgot to bring the little harness with me to record the stick cam. So hopefully discussing it worked well. If you want me to do this again and show the stick cam when I'm doing it, I'll do that. Just let me know down in the comments, and I'll try to make a video. I'll try to remember to bring my harness with me next time and do that. Until next time, guys, never stop flying. See ya. One last bonus tip for those of you who stuck around to the end. You've always, in order to fly smooth, you gotta like head bob and do your best Stevie Wonder. If you don't do that, you just can't fly smooth. Cheers, see ya.